Thank you. Thank you to Braj and Yuli for the opportunity to share our story. My name is Neil Ray. I'm a board-certified pediatric anesthesiologist, still clinically active, and CEO and founder of Raydiant Oximetry. And our mission is to improve outcomes for mothers and babies during childbirth by better fetal monitoring. The reason why we need to develop better fetal monitors is that we're in the middle of a maternal health crisis in the United States. In our country, we have the highest maternal mortality of any developed nation. It's actually, in a couple states, more dangerous for women to get pregnant than to get COVID. There's a higher chance of dying from pregnancy than from a COVID-related death. How can that be in the year 2021 in the richest country that our mankind has ever seen? When you do a root cause analysis of why this is happening, there are many factors such as advanced maternal age, coexisting diseases, but the elephant in the room is C-sections, the increased overuse of C-sections. If you look at what's happened with C-sections over the last 40 years in the United States, C-section rates have gone up 400% to where 1 in every 3 women will get a C-section delivery for the birth of her baby. According to the CDC, 50% of these are medically unnecessary. We do C-sections to rescue babies, but the irony is, if you look at newborn birth injury, it hasn't changed in the last 40 years. Newborn injury today is the same as it was in the 1960s. So why are we doing so many C-sections? Why hasn't newborn birth injury improved? And it comes down to fetal monitoring. Fetal heart rate monitoring is technology that's been around for 50 years. There's been zero innovation in this space. This is a technology that has an accuracy of a coin toss in predicting fetal distress. The sensitivity of this technology is anywhere between 85 and 93%, but more alarmingly, the specificity is between 29 and 40%. This poor specificity leads to lots of false positives, and false positives lead to the overuse of medically unnecessary C-sections. So what we're doing at Raydiant Oximetry is developing a new type of fetal monitor, one that doesn't look at heart rate changes, but the oxygen saturation. We have a lot of clinicians on this call, and we are all familiar with pulse oximetry technology. So we use the principles of pulse oximetry to tell you the baby's oxygen saturation. And what's unique about our technology is we can do it completely non-invasively from the mother's abdomen. The way pulse oximetry works, it's essentially color analysis of blood. Blood, when it's oxygenated, it's red. When it's deoxygenated, it's blue. So if you can quantify how red or how blue that blood is, you can tell how much oxygen is circulating in the system. Now we get 2 signals because we're going through the maternal abdomen. We get a bright signal from the mother and a tiny signal from the baby. We can separate those signals because the heart rates are different, and we patented this methodology. So we shine light through the maternal abdomen, get 2 signals, separate the signal from mom and baby, then do a color analysis to tell you how much oxygen is circulating in the baby's blood. We validated our technology on pregnant sheep. This is our latest results, 84 samples from 11 sheep. And what we've demonstrated is that 89% sensitivity and an 81% specificity for detecting fetal distress. Now, you may recall I said that specificity of current technology is anywhere from 29 to 40%. So we're doubling specificity. If we can double specificity, we can reduce false positives by 50% and potentially reduce unnecessary C-sections by 50%. We've also gotten our first in human data. We're doing our first in human work out at Tufts University in Boston, where we've been able to show in the human model that we get similar fetal pulse modulations to the pregnant sheep. We've shared our data with the FDA, and we were granted breakthrough status in 2018 for expedited approval. The FDA has a program where if you're solving a large unmet clinical need for a large patient population, they will expedite your pathway to market. The claims we intend to make are that we can improve the diagnosis of fetal hypoxia during labor and delivery, and we believe through the improved diagnosis of fetal hypoxia, our technology has the potential to reduce newborn birth injury, NICU admissions, a reduction in emergency C-section rates for fetal distress, as well as a reduction in maternal morbidity and mortality from the repeated overuse of medically unnecessary C-sections. Another key feature of Breakthrough Program is that Recently, last year, CMS decided that they're going to cover breakthrough technologies for reimbursement. We all know that reimbursement is the valley of death for medical device companies, and companies deemed breakthrough status by the FDA will get automatic reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid. There's only about 1% of patients in the United States fall under Medicare for pregnancy, but 45% fall under Medicaid. So approximately 50% of patients will be covered through this program and will get reimbursement for that. Our vision is to be an entirely disposable sensor company, and we believe that we'll be the first company to market with this technology. There's currently no way to monitor a baby's oxygen saturation in utero. We have 6 issued patents to date, another 12 provisionals pending, and we believe that at this point, we've created a significant freedom to operate issue for any competitor that decides to get into this space. Our vision is to be an entirely disposable sensor company that exists into existing fetal heart rate monitors. At scale, the cost of goods of our technology will be $35, and we believe that we can sell our products for $250, and that comes from comparables in the brain oximetry space. The indication for use that we're working on is that we want to diagnose fetal hypoxia during category 2 fetal heart rate tracings. Category 1 tracings are normal and they happen 15% of the time. Category 3 tracings are ominous and they happen 5% of the time and require immediate intervention. But then there's this big category called category 2, which is indeterminate. That happens 80% of the time, and this is where clinicians struggle to figure out if the baby's in trouble or not. When you look at how often category 2 tracings happen in the United States, it's about 3 million births or a $750 million annual opportunity. When you look at the developed world, it's about 40 million births or a $10 billion opportunity of patients that experience category 2 tracings. We were fortunate to raise a Series A round last year of $7.5 million. We've also received $2 million in grant aid from the NIH and NSF. The goals this year are to complete a 60-patient pilot study showing that a baby with normal oxygen during labor comes out healthy with the normal pH, and a baby with low oxygen during labor comes out distressed with the metabolic acidosis. We'll use that data to raise a Series B round of $16 million. We'll do our final product development in a 600-patient pivotal study and use that data to submit for PMA approval. Now, our technology is a Class 3 PMA device. We are dealing with unborn fetuses and pregnant women, and as you can imagine, it's a vulnerable population. But we see this as an opportunity to develop tremendous shareholder value because we know that PMA technologies have been getting acquired pre-FDA approval and pre-commercialization. This is in contrast to 510K companies that get acquired post-FDA clearance and post-revenue generation. And PMA technologies have been getting acquired for a median price of $325 million. Our program is a 7-year program and a $30 million program. And we believe that we could generate, with these comparables, a 15x return for our Series A investors and a 10x return for our future Series B investors. We have a passionate team that is dedicated to make childbirth safer. On our board, I'm proud to present that we've got 2 fantastic women who came from Nellcor and Edwards. Our other board members came from Boston Scientific and Abbott. On our management team, we have some of the best minds in pulse oximetry and women's healthcare research. And we've also got the best minds in biophotonics and OBGYN advising our scientific board. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions. Hello?
Gary, your mic is off. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry. I said you made it with 40 seconds to spare. Great job, Neil. Judges, questions? If not, I'll jump in here. Paula Muto, a surgeon, says, do you correlate saturations with ultrasound or Doppler in your trials?
Yeah, we do need a fetal heart rate input in order to separate what signal is coming from the mom and what's coming from a baby. So we do use an ultrasound Doppler.
Mary Jo, you want to chime in yourself?
Sure. I've seen Ray a couple times. I was actually introduced to him through Northwestern's Purple Arch Ventures because they were very impressed. Now what's hard to see is where the biggest risks are as you move into this next phase. You've come a long way. You've de-risked it a lot. But what are the couple of major risks you still see?
I would say that we've de-risked this technology in a clinical lab setting, and now we have to de-risk it in a human clinical setting where patients don't hold still. You have lots of diversity in women in terms of size and skin color. And now we have to show that this technology is going to work in a real life clinical situation. That's probably our biggest risk. I think all startups have risks. Ours are mainly technical. I think people believe the commercial story, the regulatory story, the reimbursement story, and that's where our risks are concentrated.
Okay, great. Nikki Panache, a physician, says, what reduction in intervention rates have you seen in your trials?
So in our trials, we haven't looked at outcomes, and we're making claims that we can more accurately detect fetal distress. In order to change outcomes, you have to change behavior. And so in our approach is to take a stepwise approach in terms of showing outcome changes, because we want to get obstetricians to trust our technology before they're going to change their behavior. The analogy I use is like a scale. A scale is not going to help you lose weight. You have to change behavior if you're going to lose weight. But a scale could be an effective technology to help you lose weight. And that's how we see our technology.
Great. Let's see. Two additional questions. Is pediatric oxygen saturation the sole method for determining fetal distress?
It's not, because we can't measure a baby's oxygen saturation currently. Currently, it's fetal heart rate. That's the sole method for detecting fetal distress. But the problem is that approach has accuracy of a coin toss, and that's why there's such a desperate need for innovation in this space.
So this is an interesting question. So the question is basically, is there a disincentive at the enterprise level for hospitals to reduce the number of C-sections, since they're, the return on investment for a C-section is better than for a vaginal delivery?
Yeah, so hospitals make money on elective C-sections. Elective C-sections tend to be performed between 7 and 3 during the week. The length of stay is, minimal. We're addressing emergency C-sections. Emergency C-sections for fetal distress. And for any obstetricians or anesthesiologists out there, we know that an emergency C-section is like a fire drill. And these patients have really bad outcomes. You don't even have time for the betadine to dry. It's slash and cut, and you don't give the antibiotics. These patients have a longer length of stay. You have to have an on-call staff that you have to pay for to come in and do the case. Patient satisfaction is poor, complications are higher, and hospitals actually lose money on emergency C-sections. So we believe that we're going to get rid of the right kind of C-sections for hospitals.
So I guess, and so here's the question from the obstetric anesthesiologist, is that, as we all know, that when we're on labor and delivery right now with the current way of monitoring fetal well-being, there's a lot of indeterminate situations that happen that sometimes result in unnecessary C-sections, but more importantly, there are situations where it's not clear to us what the fetal status is, even though we have all this wealth, quote unquote, wealth of information. With the addition of this monitoring technology, how does that address those indeterminate gray zones? I mean, will we have a better fetal status to rely on in one direction or another in terms of how we care for the mother and the baby?
Yeah, so we think of current fetal heart rate monitoring technology as a good screening tool, but it's a poor diagnostic. And unfortunately, because there's no other diagnostic out there in the market, fetal heart rate monitoring is being used as a diagnostic. So we're going to be the missing diagnostic tool to complement the screening of fetal heart rate monitoring. And yeah, 2 pieces of information are better than 1 piece of information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Neil. Great presentation.
Thank you,
On
everyone.
time there. Let's